There are birthdays that mark another year of childhood, and then there are birthdays that quietly signal the beginning of history. For most families, turning 13 is a milestone filled with school memories, new friendships, and the excitement of becoming a teenager. But for one young boy, his 13th birthday represents something far greater. It marks another step toward a future that has been waiting for him since the day he was born, a future that millions of people around the world are already watching unfold. Prince George has spent every year of his life growing up beneath the gaze of cameras, headlines, and extraordinary expectations. Long before he could understand the meaning of duty, the world already knew that one day he is expected to become king. Yet behind the official portraits, carefully choreographed appearances, and royal traditions lies a far more remarkable story. How does a child prepare for a role that only a handful of people in history have ever carried? How do parents teach normal life when nothing about that life is truly ordinary? And perhaps most importantly, who is Prince George becoming? Not as a future monarch, but as a young person finding his own identity inside one of the world's most famous families? As his 13th birthday arrives, royal commentators believe a subtle transformation is becoming impossible to ignore. The smiling little boy who once waved shyly from palace balconies is gradually emerging as a confident young royal whose every appearance hints at the responsibilities waiting just beyond childhood. This is not simply the story of a birthday. It is the story of 13 years that have quietly shaped the future of the British monarchy. It is a journey through family, duty, history, and legacy. A journey that may reveal more about the next generation of the royal family than ever before. But what has really changed during these 13 remarkable years? And what do the small moments the public has witnessed reveal about the King Prince George may one day become? To understand why Prince George's 13th birthday carries such symbolic weight, it is important to look beyond the birthday photographs and celebratory headlines. This moment is not simply about a young royal becoming a teenager. It represents another chapter in a story that began long before George was born, a story shaped by history, responsibility, and the enduring continuity of the British monarchy. When Prince George Alexander Louis was born on July 22, 2013, the world immediately recognized that his arrival was historically significant. As the eldest child of Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, George entered life second in the line of succession at the time, behind his grandfather, then Prince Charles, and his father. Following the accession of King Charles III, George moved even closer to the throne, becoming the direct heir after Prince William. His future was written into history before he could take his first steps. Yet William and Catherine have consistently tried to ensure that destiny would not overshadow childhood. Having experienced relentless media attention himself, Prince William has often spoken about the importance of giving his children as normal an upbringing as possible. Catherine has echoed those values through her public work supporting early childhood development and emotional well-being. Together, they have sought to create a family life grounded in routine, affection, and stability despite extraordinary public interest. This balance has never been easy. Every school choice, family photograph, and public appearance becomes international news. Moments that would pass unnoticed for most families are examined in remarkable detail simply because they involve the future king. Even George's earliest public appearances reflected that unusual reality. Millions watched as he left the hospital in his parents' arms only days after birth. His christening, first overseas tours, and appearances on the Buckingham Palace balcony quickly became defining images of a new royal generation. To many people, George's childhood has unfolded almost like a public timeline. One year, he was photographed laughing with his siblings. The next, he was attending his first major national ceremony. Later came official jubilees, coronation events, Christmas services, and carefully chosen engagements where observers noticed increasing confidence in his posture and demeanor. Each appearance revealed subtle growth. Each year suggested another small step toward responsibilities that still lie many years ahead. Royal historians often point out that the preparation of an heir begins long before formal duties become routine. Lessons about history, constitutional responsibility, diplomacy, public service, and national identity are introduced gradually, allowing future monarchs to understand not only the privileges of their position, but also the enormous responsibility that accompanies it. George's education extends beyond classrooms. He is learning through observation. He watches his father engage with communities across Britain. He sees Catherine's emphasis on compassion and public service. He witnesses King Charles carrying out constitutional duties while maintaining traditions that have defined the monarchy for generations. These experiences quietly shape perspective in ways that no textbook ever could. At the same time, George is growing up alongside Prince Louis and Princess Charlotte, sharing many of the same experiences any siblings would. Public photographs often capture moments of laughter, playful conversations, and genuine family affection, images that remind people there is a child behind the future title. That humanity has become central to William and Catherine's approach. Rather than presenting George solely as the future king, they appear committed to helping him become a thoughtful, confident, and empathetic young man first. Many royal commentators believe this reflects lessons William himself learned through both joyful and difficult experiences growing up within the royal family. The legacy of Diana, Princess of Wales, also quietly influences this philosophy. Although George never knew his grandmother personally, William has spoken publicly about ensuring his children understand Diana's compassion, warmth, and commitment to helping others. According to previous interviews, William and Catherine have shared stories about Diana with George, Charlotte, and Louis so that her memory remains part of their family life. This connection between generations gives George's journey a unique emotional depth. He is not only preparing to inherit a constitutional role, he is inheriting decades of family history, moments of triumph, periods of loss, and lessons learned through change. That history became even more visible during major national events in recent years. The passing of Queen Elizabeth II marked the end of one extraordinary reign and the beginning of another. George witnessed history unfolding before his eyes while standing beside his family during ceremonies watched around the world. Many observers remarked on his composure during those solemn occasions. It was another reminder that childhood and responsibility often intersect in ways few people could imagine. Now, as George reaches 13, many royal commentators believe a subtle transition is underway. He is no longer simply the young prince waving from palace balconies. He is beginning to resemble the future monarch people have envisioned since his birth. But birthdays are not measured only by age. They are measured by growth. And according to those who closely follow the royal family, the most remarkable changes in Prince George over these 13 years may have very little to do with appearances, and everything to do with the quiet confidence that is gradually emerging beneath them. The question now is no longer who Prince George was. It is who he is becoming. And that transformation becomes even more compelling when viewed through the defining moments that have shaped his journey so far. If the first 13 years of Prince George's life can be described in one word, it is preparation. Not the kind of preparation that happens in classrooms alone, but the slow, deliberate shaping of a future monarch through countless experiences, each carefully balanced between public duty and private childhood. What makes George's journey so fascinating is that most of this transformation has happened quietly. There has been no dramatic announcement declaring that he has entered a new stage of royal life. Instead, the changes have revealed themselves in small moments that, when viewed together, tell the story of a young prince steadily growing into the responsibilities that await him. Royal watchers often point to the Platinum Jubilee of Queen Elizabeth II as one of the earliest occasions when many people noticed a shift. Standing alongside his parents and siblings during the celebrations, George appeared noticeably more composed than in previous years. His expressions suggested curiosity rather than uncertainty, and he seemed increasingly aware of the importance of the ceremonies taking place around him. It was a subtle difference. But subtle differences often matter most inside the monarchy. Then came one of the most emotional chapters in modern royal history, the passing of Queen Elizabeth II in September 2022. For George, the loss was deeply personal. He was not only saying goodbye to a beloved great-grandmother, but also witnessing a constitutional transition unlike anything most children could imagine. The nation entered a period of mourning. King Charles III ascended the throne, and Prince William became the Prince of Wales. Almost overnight, George moved one step closer to his own future. During the public ceremonies that followed, millions observed the young prince walking with remarkable composure beside senior members of the royal family. While no child can fully understand the weight of such historic events, George carried himself with dignity that many commentators found striking. According to royal experts, these moments are carefully managed to protect young royals while gradually introducing them to public responsibility. Every appearance is considered with great care, balancing the institution's traditions with the well-being of the child. That philosophy became even more visible during the coronation of King Charles III. George was not merely another family member attending the service. He served as one of the king's pages of honor, a ceremonial role that placed him closer to the center of one of Britain's most significant constitutional events. Inside Westminster Abbey, surrounded by centuries of royal tradition, George performed his duties with calm focus. Cameras captured brief moments of concentration as he stood among historic symbols that have defined the monarchy for generations. Many observers saw more than a ceremonial participant. They saw the future. For the first time, millions could imagine the possibility that one day George himself would stand in that same abbey, not as a page, but as the monarch being crowned. That realization gave the moment extraordinary emotional power. Yet William and Catherine have consistently demonstrated that ceremonial preparation is only one part of George's upbringing. Away from major royal events, they have worked to preserve a sense of normal family life. George attends school with other children, enjoys sports, and, according to publicly reported interviews, shares interests common to many boys his age. Prince William has spoken about George's enthusiasm for soccer, and the two have frequently been seen attending matches together, celebrating victories and enduring defeats like any father and son. These outings may appear ordinary. In reality, they serve another important purpose. They allow George to experience life beyond palace walls, connecting him with everyday people and ordinary moments. Experiences many believe are essential for any future constitutional monarch. Catherine's influence has also become increasingly evident. Her emphasis on kindness, emotional resilience, and strong family relationships appears to shape the environment in which George is growing up. During public engagements, observers frequently notice reassuring glances between mother and son, subtle reminders that even within the world's most famous family, encouragement often comes through simple gestures. As George has matured, his relationship with Princess Charlotte and Prince Louis has also become a defining part of his public image. Photographs capturing shared laughter, whispered conversations, and sibling support have helped humanize the future king. Rather than presenting a distant royal figure, these moments reveal a brother who enjoys childhood alongside his family, while slowly accepting responsibilities unique to his position. The contrast is remarkable. One day, George is cheering at a football match. Another day, he is standing during solemn national ceremonies witnessed by millions. Very few young people in history have experienced both realities simultaneously. Royal historians often note that every future monarch must eventually discover the balance between personal identity and public duty. That journey cannot be rushed. It unfolds gradually through years of observation, education, mistakes, achievements, and lived experience. George now appears to be entering exactly that stage. His growing confidence during public engagements has not gone unnoticed. His posture is more assured. His interactions appear more relaxed. While still unmistakably a teenager, he carries himself with increasing awareness of the significance attached to every appearance. According to several royal commentators, these changes suggest careful preparation rather than sudden transformation. There is no expectation that George will assume major responsibilities soon. Instead, the royal family seems committed to allowing him to mature naturally while introducing new experiences only when appropriate. Perhaps that measured approach explains why public interest in George continues to grow. People are not simply watching the future king. They are witnessing the gradual formation of character. Each appearance raises new questions. Each year reveals another layer. Each milestone offers another glimpse into the person who may one day inherit not only the crown, but also the trust of an entire nation. And as his 13th birthday marks the end of one chapter of childhood, another chapter quietly begins. because history suggests that the years ahead may shape Prince George more profoundly than any that came before. The question is no longer whether he is preparing for the future. It is whether the future itself is already beginning to prepare for him. 13 years may seem like a brief moment in the life of a nation, but within the history of the British monarchy, it can represent the quiet beginning of an entirely new era. Prince George's journey so far is not simply a story about growing older. It is a reflection of how one generation prepares the next to inherit an institution that has endured for centuries through constant adaptation. The British monarchy has survived wars, political change, social transformation, and dramatic shifts in public opinion. Throughout each era, one truth has remained constant. Every future sovereign begins as a child learning not only the traditions of the crown, but also the values that give those traditions meaning. That is the stage George has now entered. His parents appear determined to ensure that his preparation extends far beyond ceremonial protocol. Publicly available interviews and observations suggest that Prince William and Catherine place enormous importance on empathy, service, emotional resilience, and family life. These qualities cannot be taught through constitutional documents alone. They are developed through everyday experiences, careful guidance, and the example set by those closest to him. In many ways, George represents a bridge between two royal worlds. Behind him stands a monarchy shaped by Queen Elizabeth II's remarkable 70-year reign, defined by consistency, duty, and quiet service. Ahead of him lies a future that will almost certainly demand greater transparency, stronger public engagement, and an ability to connect with younger generations whose expectations of public institutions continue to evolve. That transition may ultimately define his reign more than any single ceremony ever could. Many royal historians have observed that successful monarchs are remembered not only for preserving tradition, but also for recognizing when careful evolution becomes necessary. If Prince George one day ascends the throne, he will inherit both the weight of history and the challenge of ensuring the monarchy remains relevant in an increasingly modern society. The examples surrounding him today may become his greatest teachers. From King Charles III, he can observe decades of preparation before assuming the crown, along with a lifelong commitment to environmental causes, architecture, and charitable work. From Prince William, he witnesses leadership grounded in approachability, public service, and a desire to modernize while respecting constitutional boundaries. From Catherine, he sees the importance of compassion, early childhood development, and creating genuine human connections through public service. Together, these influences form a unique foundation. But perhaps the most powerful influence is one George never had the opportunity to know personally. Princess Diana's legacy continues to shape the royal family in profound ways. Prince William has spoken publicly about keeping her memory alive for his children, sharing stories about her kindness, warmth, and compassion. While George's understanding of his grandmother comes through family memories rather than personal experience, those values may still become part of the character he develops as a future king. Legacy, after all, is not measured only by personal memories. It is measured by the principles that survive across generations. As George enters his teenage years, the public will almost certainly see him more frequently at carefully selected national occasions. Each appearance will likely be another step in a long-term process of introducing him to the responsibilities he will eventually inherit. Yet it is equally likely that William and Catherine will continue protecting much of his private life, allowing him to mature away from constant public scrutiny whenever possible. That balance may prove essential. History has shown that future monarchs benefit from understanding ordinary life as well as extraordinary duty. Friendships, education, hobbies, and family experiences provide perspective that no royal protocol can replace. By preserving those opportunities, William and Catherine may be helping George become not only a prepared sovereign, but also a grounded individual. Ultimately, George's 13th birthday is significant not because it changes his constitutional position, but because it reminds the world that time never stands still. The little boy introduced to the public outside St. Mary's Hospital in 2013 is gradually becoming a thoughtful young man. Every year brings new understanding, new responsibilities, and new expectations. Each milestone quietly prepares him for decisions that may one day influence the future of the monarchy itself. No one can predict exactly what kind of king Prince George will become. That chapter remains unwritten. But the first 13 years suggest that his journey is being shaped with patience rather than haste, with humanity alongside tradition, and with an awareness that leadership begins long before a crown is ever worn. Perhaps that is the true meaning of this birthday. It is not simply a celebration of age. It is a reminder that history often unfolds quietly, one year at a time, one lesson after another, until the child the world once watched from afar is finally ready to write the next chapter of a royal story that has endured for generations. Prince George's story is still only beginning, yet his first 13 years have already offered a remarkable glimpse into the future of the British monarchy. Whether he one day becomes a king remembered for tradition, compassion, or quiet leadership, the lessons of his childhood will undoubtedly shape the man he becomes. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Which quality do you believe is most important for a future monarch? Duty, empathy, resilience, or the ability to adapt to a changing world? Share your perspective in the comments below and join the conversation with fellow royal enthusiasts. If you enjoyed this documentary and want more thoughtful, in-depth stories exploring the people, history, and legacy of the royal family, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next documentary. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next chapter of royal history.